You burst into the dorm room like a tornado in caffeine and secrets. Why, Angie, you? The scream rattled the windows. You slammed the door behind you so hard the floor might have trembled a little. Somewhere the universe probably winced. Jiyu, who had been peacefully 3 seconds from entering dreamland, shot up like she'd been electrocuted. Jiyu, what happened? Are we under attack? Is the Earth dying? She nearly rolled off her bed, grabbing her phone like she needed to call the president or NASA. You were already half across the room, hoodie flying, sneakers hurting, eyes wide with adrenaline-fueled spark as you threw yourself onto her bed like a dramatic lead actress from a romance K-drama. Why, and you are not gonna believe what just happened. Jiyu, I already don't. You grinned, grabbing her shoulders with both hands. Why, and okay, so don't scream. Jiyu, you are literally the one screaming. You, I was locked in the library with him. Her eyes narrowed, suspicious. Jiyu, with who? You paused for effect, then gasped it out. You, Professor John Jungkook, silence. Jiyu blinked once, twice, then her jaw dropped. Jiyu, you got locked in a building with a campus heartthrob? The human vampire, the man who speaks in 3 word sentences max? You nodded like it was Christmas morning. You, and it was just us. No lights, no signal, just us and his veiny forearms and laptop keys and his voice. Jiyu, his voice in the dark, like velvet dripped in sin. She smacked a pillow over her face and screamed into it. Jiyu, why does this sound like fanfiction? Why does this sound like page 278 of that one spicy novel you hid under your pillow? You are practically vibrating now here, messy from all the dramatic reenactments already happening in your head. You, and then I asked him why he doesn't read romance novels, and then I accidentally asked him on a date. You froze. You what? You laughed nervously, rolling on your stomach, kicking your legs like a giddy high schooler. I just blurted it out like boom, go on a date with me. Did he say no right away? Did he glare at you? Or did he say in his cold voice that you should focus on your career? You shrugged, grinning so wide it hurt your face. Nope, he just stared like his system was buffering. I think I broke his internal firewall. That is the most computer science pickup line I have ever heard. You weren't done. And then listen to this. I wrote him my number. You gasped like she was watching a drama unfold in slow motion. I tore it from his register, slipped into his coat pocket, and you sat up dramatically. I kissed his cheek and ran. What? It was like a drive-by affection attack, okay? I had to escape. You collapsed onto the bed like her soul just gave up. You are insane, actually insane. You just kissed your Jungkook gets fled like a squirrel. Do you know what this means? You blinked. That I am going to prison for not asking permission? That he's gonna think about it, overthink it, spiral, compute it like a freaking equation, and then either reject you that he does to every other girl, or she paused dramatically, then whispered to you, fall. You clutched a pillow to your chest, eyes dreamy, heart still racing. You, I hope it's the falling one. Already going back to sleep, there can be a chance. I mean, he didn't outright reject you like he usually does too. So maybe, who knows? And as the night crept in through a tiny dorm window, you dreamed of him. The apartment was quiet, just like it usually was. He stood in the small kitchen, barefoot, sleeves rolled up to his forearms, flipping an omelette with practiced ease. The sizzle of the eggs in the pan, subtle tapping of his fingers against the spatula were the only sounds in the room until his phone, resting on the counter, lit up with a familiar name. Emma. He sighed, setting the flame on low before swiping to answer. Jungkook, hello? Mrs. John. You sound half dead. Did you sleep at all? Jungkook, I'm fine, Emma. Just tired. Mrs. John, that's always your answer. You work, work, work. No one to cook for you, no one to bother you. How long are you planning to live like this? He didn't reply right away. He picked up the plate and slid the omelette onto it, listening to the familiar rhythm of her lecture echoing in his ear. He'd heard this before 100 times. Mrs. John, do you even like anyone? A girl, a single mother, a plant, anyone? He sighed as he carried the plate to the table. Jungkook, Emma, Mrs. John, what? You are already old enough. I want to be a grandma before I need a grave for myself. Jungkook, can we not talk about this now? Mrs. John, then when? When you are 39 and still locking yourself in libraries and grading code until your eyes fall out? He rubbed his temple. His voice was sharp, but her concern was always warm. Still, he hated these conversations because they made him think, because this time he did think of you. He didn't mean to, but the second she mentioned someone, anyone, his mind flashed with your face. That weird little creature with oversized expression, shiny eyes, and a laugh that should have been illegal in silent places. That night hadn't left him. No matter how many times he told himself it wasn't a big deal, just a kid being dramatic, just a student with a harmless crush, it didn't go away. That the image of you, the boldness in your words, the paper in his coat pocket, your name written in neat curls. Text me. And that kiss on his cheek that he could still feel sometimes late at night when he was trying to fall asleep and his mind decided to betray him. He snapped out of it when his mom suddenly shouted, Mrs. Junia, are you even listening? Jungkook, sorry, I was distracted. She sighed dramatically. Mrs. Jones, you are hopeless. At least tell me if you are seeing someone, anyone. There was a pause. His eyes drifted across the room slowly towards a small bookshelf beside the couch, the exact same place he had dropped your novel that night after returning home. He hadn't moved it, hadn't even touched it. Why hadn't he? He cleared his throat. Jungkook, not really, but his voice didn't sound as sure as it used to. Every time he walked through campus, he half expected to hear your voice, loud, laughing, unfiltered. Why were you still echoing in his brain like a melody he hadn't asked to memorize? They ended the call soon after, his mom muttering something about prayers and blind dates and fate. He placed his phone down, but instead of returning to his food, his eyes stayed locked on the book. It was still there, your man's novel, the pink and pastel covered thing with dramatic fonts and ridiculous titles. He walked over to it slowly like it was a trap. Why was he doing this? He didn't know. But he crouched down, fingers brushing the edge of the page until he found the bookmark. No, not a bookmark, a folded slip of paper, the one you had written your name and number on. He exhaled through his nose, unfolding it gently. A ripped piece of his own register paper, now folded twice. He unfolded it slowly, like it was something sacred. Kim Wyan, text me or else, with a winky face drawn like a 3-year-old would. But still, he sat down on the couch, placed the paper beside him like it was a person, and just stared at it for a few moments. Should he? Should he really? There was a little smiley face drawn at the end. He stared at it for a long, long moment. What was wrong with him? He wasn't someone who got flustered. He didn't chase. He wasn't one to chaos enter his neat life. He had rejected confessions before, dozens, coldly, quickly, without thought. Why hadn't he thrown this paper away? Why did he read it over and over again like it meant something? He sat on the edge of his couch, your book beside him, and the paper in hand. He opened his contacts, typed in your name and number, saving them, paused, then stared at it for 10 whole seconds. His heart was weirdly nervous. He didn't get nervous. Yet here he was like a teenager about to text a girl who squealed over fictional dukes and left lipstick marks on his sanity. He sighed and typed 3 words. And then deleted them, typed again, deleted again. Finally, he settled on one. Jungkook, hi, and pressed send and stared. He didn't even know what he was expecting. Maybe silence, maybe chaos. Definitely not the way his heart started drumming like a warning signal in his chest the second he sent the message. Whatever this was, it was stupid. It was probably dangerous. It was definitely not like him, but for once, he didn't stop it. Not this time. He stared at a number he had saved, named YN Chaos. He stared at the contact for another moment, then glanced at your book. On impulse, he flipped it open, turning a few pages, then scoffed under his breath at the line he stopped on. He was cold and unreadable, but she was fire, and fire always leaves burn marks. He shut the book. He was in trouble, wasn't he? You were sulking, full blown, absolutely dramatic, world ending kind of sulking. Lying belly first on your bed, arms sprawled, hair in a messy claw clip that was barely holding on for its life. Your phone lay face down beside you like it had personally betrayed you, and the smell of strawberry nail polish filled the dorm like an aromatic warning sign. Your toes were splayed on a pillow, fingers in mid-air as you carefully painted your fourth layer of top coat. Because rage required shiny nails, obviously, and your voice rang out like a dying ghost. He didn't even look at me today, you, not once. I mean, I was glowing. I wore pink for the first time in months, and nothing, not even a flicker, like I am air. Do I look like oxygen to you? From the couch, your roommate Gio didn't even flinch. She was neck deep in a bag of sour cream chips, legs swinging as she watched Barbie Princess Charm School on the tiny shared TV. Gio, maybe he's shy, or maybe he's the vampire who swore off romantic entanglements in 1743. Honestly, that would make more sense. You groaned dramatically, waving your wet hand towards her. Yuhi is not shy, he's emotionally dead or allergic to romance. Who ignores someone who confesses and kisses them and then never even texts? You girl, you kissed his cheek like a 5-year-old and ran off like Dora the Explorer. Be serious. You huffed, dragging your comforter up to your nose like it could absorb your pain. I should read his thoughts. I should never go to that library again and unlearn my feelings. Gio, you are still seriously waiting, aren't you? You stared at the ceiling defeated, nails in the air, hopes in the trash. I hate him with love. I love hate him. I hate love him, whatever. And then ting, your phone burst once. Still grumbling, you flipped your phone over and froze. Your brain stopped, your lungs refused to work, your fingers curled around your wet polished nails and immediately smudged everything but that was the least of your problems. Because there it was, unknown number, one message, hi, and the display picture. It was him. Jeon Jungkook, Professor Cold Reserve doesn't date anyone Jungkook, texting you with a lowercase hi, like he wasn't sending your entire existence into cardiac arrest. You screamed, loud, violently. Your smudged hand slapped the air, and your polished bottle dipped and fell, and your blanket became an unwilling canvas of strawberry paint. To you, what? Fire? A ghost? Exams cancelled? You lunged off the bed like it owed you money, pointing at your phone with wide, maniac eyes. He texted me. You, who, you, him, Jungkook Professor Vampire, the one with sinful hands and deadpan eyes. Jiyu blinked, stared at your phone, squinted, then let out a scream of her own. Jiyu, you are lying. You, am I? Do I look like a delusional imaginary figure right now? You both shrieked again, jumping in place like deranged squirrels. Your nail polish was now on your shirt, on somehow your ankle, but nothing mattered anymore. He texted, he really texted this. Jiyu, this man rejected like 7 people last semester, including a TA, and he's texting you? You, exactly, I'm the chosen one. She fanned her face with a chip bag. Jiyu, I need water, no champagne, holy water. You sat back down staring at the message like it was the solution to world peace. Then you cracked your knuckles, smacked at your own reflection in the dark phone screen, and typed like the trauma queen you were. You, so where's the date, time, day? Will you pick me up or should I send you a Google pin of my heart? You stared at it. Geo stared at it. Geo, send it. You sending, delivered. And then you collapsed back onto your bed, squealing again while Geo hit the victory dance with Barbie playing in the background. You didn't know what Jungkook would reply. You didn't even know if he would, but he texted you first, and that was enough to set your fictional romance-loving entire soul on fire. Jungkook was eating the omelette he just made. His laptop screen played a quiet documentary on neural networks, something only he would find interesting enough to sip black coffee to. He sat on his grey couch, a soft throw blanket tangled around his legs, walked halfway to his mouth buzz. His phone vibrated against the coffee table. He barely looked, probably either work email, maybe some university notice. He reached over, barely a glance. And then his eyes locked onto the preview. So where's the date? Time? Day? Will you pick me up or should I send you a Google pin of my heart? He froze. Fork still in hand, coffee halfway raised, a line of egg yolk draining sadly back to the plate. What? What? His brain blanked. He sat up straighter, reread, then reread again. And choked. Coughing, actual choking, he thumped his chest, setting the coffee down quickly, almost knocking it over, then slapped a fist to his mouth to stop the awkward laugh escaping him, but it was no use. It spilled out, a laugh, a real one, genuine and warm and boyish and utterly ridiculous sounding in his normally quiet, serious apartment. Him laughing like a human being. He sank back into the couch, still staring at the message. This girl, this strange, chaotic creature with wide brown eyes and a volume level set to max, had actually replied to his hi like it was a full blown proposal. What was this? What kind of person sends that kind of response? What kind of person makes him smile like this? He shook his head, chuckling under his breath, and lifted his phone to type. His thumbs hovered above the screen as a familiar flush crept up the back of his neck. He had never done this, not with any girl, not even back in college when everyone around him was falling in and out of relationships like changing socks. He had always found romance distracting, overrated. He had turned down confessions with nothing more than a polite nod or an awkward silence, and now here he was. Typing, actually replying, his fingers moved. Whatever suits you, text me. He stared at it, simple, calm, safe. And yet, the moment he hit send, he felt the wave of heat crawl up his neck to his ears. Was he really doing this? Was he flirting? No, no, this wasn't flirting. It was polite, courteous, but then again, you had slipped your number into his pocket almost adorably. You had kissed his cheek like a K-drama heroine on steroids. And now this cruel pain of your heart, what did that even mean? He groaned softly, dragging a hand down his face, small smile still tugging at the corner of his mouth. This girl was going to ruin him. He didn't know how or when or why she was suddenly burned into his thoughts like a tattoo, but she was, and maybe he actually didn't mind. You were dying. No, not literally, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, fashionably. Every molecule in your body was combusting with the pressure of choosing the perfect date outfit. You stood in the center of your dorm room, the floor around you covered in fabric like an aftermath of a war waged between denim, glitter, and lace. Clothes were everywhere on the bed, hanging from the doorknob, tossed over the chair like a crime scene. You, this is a disaster, a full blown code red GU. Why is everything in my closet either too boring or too I'm on my way to seduce a vampire? Gio didn't look up. She was sprawled on the beanbag like a starfish, one hand deep in the jumbo bag of chips, the other holding a juice box. Gio, you are literally going on a date with a vampire, a hot one. That's exactly the energy we need. Continue. You huffed dramatically and yanked another dress from the hanger. It was dead, tight, kind of dangerous. You put it on and turned. You, how about this? Gio, without blinking, you look like you are about to file someone's taxes and steal your husband. Too much, dial it back. You groaned, tore it off, and threw on a flowy white dress instead. You slumped onto the bed, arms thrown wide. You, why is this so hard? I waited years to go on a date with a romance novel quality man, and now I can't even pick a stupid outfit. Gio took a sip of juice and raised a brow. Gio, you have waited years to date anyone. Remember when you said if your future man didn't look like he just stepped out of a mafia romance, you would stay single forever? You shot her a glare, you, and I stand by it. She snorted. You popped back up and tried on another dress, black, backless, satin, elegant. You did a duel. You, okay, final verdict. This one, too sexy. Gio blinked once, twice. Gio, I think any guy will go into cardiac arrest. However, no guarantee about Professor Jeon. Still do it. You stared at yourself in the mirror, your heart thumped, you looked hot. And also like you might pass out. You, okay, okay, this is fine, I'm fine, everything is fine. You started pacing while Gio munched louder than should be legally allowed. You, do I wear heels? What if I trip? Should I take flats on my back? But what if he thinks I'm high maintenance? What if I smell weird? Do I smell weird? Gio tossed a chip at your head. Gio, you smell like roses and body mist. Sit down before you faint. You collapsed back on the bed. That was it, your first real date with Professor John Jungkook. The man who wore an expressionless face and had lips like sin and veins like God personally sketched them in his free time, and you were not going to miss this chance. John Jungkook stood beside his black car, leaning against the passenger side door, pretending to be composed. He had one hand tucked into his pocket and the other fidgeting subtly with the car keys. The sleeves of his crisp white shirt were rolled up just below his elbows, exposing his annoyingly veiny forearms, something he never noticed, but the female population of the entire university absolutely did. Black pants, white shirt, clean cologne, hair parted slightly, left fluffy the way he always let it dry after a shower. Not that he had put effort, not that he had called his best friend Yunu an hour ago to say, Jungkook on phone earlier. She said date. What kind of a date? Fancy casual? Am I supposed to wear a tux or ripped jeans? Even while chewing cereal, chill. White shirt, black pants can't go wrong. If she's smart, she'll show up. If she's not, she'll still like it. And now here he was waiting, breathing, pretending this was no big deal. He had been here for 5 minutes. No, it was 10, no 12. He knew because he checked the clock every minute like a lunatic then, and all the air left his lungs. You descending the steps of your dorm like some chaotic little goddess who got dressed in a scene straight out of a movie montage. Hair down, silky and swaying, dark maroon lipstick that made his brain short circuit, a black dress that clung just right, and legs that God he shouldn't be looking at. And stilettos. He had expected sneakers, a hoodie, maybe something soft, but no, you are showing up like a heart attack. And suddenly the cold, reserved, unshakable Professor Jungkook felt something weird happen in his chest. A skip? No, two skips. Was his heart fluttering? Absolutely not. That was medically incorrect. He inhaled sharply, shook the thoughts away, and pulled himself back into his usual cold-headed shell. Calm on the outside, completely existing crisis on the inside. You gave him the brightest smile like it was just another Tuesday. You, hi. He didn't trust his voice, so he nodded, cool, mysterious, like a man who definitely hadn't practiced breathing in his car mirror 2 minutes ago. And then, like a gentleman he was, he reached out, opened the car door for you. You, oh wow, we are doing it proper. He smiled, faint and silent, but his fingers brushed your back lightly as you ducked into the passenger seat. He closed the door behind you, turned on his heel, and muttered under his breath as he walked around the car. Jungkook whispering, "What am I even turning into?" Dinner had gone smoother than either of you expected. Jungkook had booked a quiet, elegant rooftop restaurant, dim lighting, violent background music, city skyline glowing in the distance. Classic safe, so naturally it was the exact opposite of you. Because while he silently cut through his steak, you were busy tasting your pasta like you were the star judge of MasterChef. You narrated the flavors, you described the texture, you even dramatically closed your eyes after the first bite and declared it a bite of heaven wrapped in noodles. He had blinked at you once, twice, then he nodded, and now he was standing beside you by the edge of the Han River in the cold, with his hand being held hostage by your smaller one as you dragged him forward like a child ready to recess. We have to take a walk. It's mandatory on cute first dates, okay? Like in dramas with the pretty lights and wind and holding hands and everything. You are lucky I'm not demanding a slow motion spinning hug. Jungkook said nothing, because what could he say? He was already too stunned that he was actually being dragged to Han River by a human romance novel. He watched your hair blow with the wind, your lipstick slightly faded after dinner, your eyes sparkling with all your chaotic passion. You looked so happy, so alive. You need to start preparing for future anniversaries. I love lilies, not roses. Lilies last longer and don't stab you with thorns. Symbolism, Jungkook, symbolism. You narrowing eyes. I hope you are taking notes mentally or physically. Either works. Actually, just make a spreadsheet. He stared. Jungkook, we just started dating. You casually, yeah, but it's gonna last, right? I already told you we are endgame. He blinked twice. You went on anyway, skipping slightly in your heels like your ankles had never heard of gravity. Oh, and blue is my favorite color, not navy blue, sky blue, pastel sky blue, like the sky on spring mornings when the birds chirp and the fictional hero realizes he's in love for the first time. You had this habit of starting most random topics anywhere, wherever. You squinting up at him. Are you in love with me yet? He almost tripped, almost, not because your question was ridiculous, but because something in his chest actually considered the possibility. Was he? No, that would be fast, right? And yet there was something. A softness in his chest that had never existed, a buzz in his chest when you touched his arm, a warmth in his voice that for the first time in his lonely life felt louder and more beautiful than silence. And so he let you lead, he let you blabber, he let your random side quests happen, even when you gasped dramatically and shouted, "You cotton candy." Poor Ajushi running it looked exhausted, but you tugged at his arm and asked for the biggest royal like a child demanding a birthday present. As you stood there with pink fluff sticking to your lips and giggling like the world was a sitcom, Jungkook just stood beside you, still quiet, still composed, but slowly, softly, slightly smiling. Quiet chuckle bubbled out of him as you turned to him with white as in sticky fingers, you offering him a bite. Bite? He leaned slightly back. Jungkook, I don't eat sugar. You mock scandalized. You are dating me. I'm sugar. He blinked again. That was the third time tonight. And then he laughed, a real warm, stern little boy kind of laugh, and in that moment, standing by the cold river, the wind brushing through his fluffy black hair, and his hand lightly swaying by yours, he thought, congratulations, Jungkook, you found your spouse. No warning, no calculation, no algorithm, just you with sticky lips, cotton candy, and a heart so big it cracked into his. And honestly, he wasn't scared, not anymore.